Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Cara, and I was an SOS participant for 8 years. And this summer, I'm happy to be interning at SOS Outreach as their summer alumni relations intern. We're thrilled to be here with Meg Pitman, the National Director of Youth Development and Quality Control at Boys and Girls Club of America. Meg, can you please tell us about yourself and how you are involved with SOS?
Yeah, sure. She just told you my title, but my job is working with 4,200 sites around the country, working with about 4 to 5 million kids a year, making sure their programming is high quality so we can make sure that we get the best outcomes for the youth we work with. And I fly around the country when I'm not chained up in COVID, and I train people how to work with kids with an awesome team. And I got involved with SOS because I went to Breckenridge. I was working at Nike in Portland, Oregon, and I thought I was going to make the 97 Winter Olympics, and I blame SOS for ruining that. That's not true. You guys saved me. I got involved in SOS while I was there training, and I got super sucked into working with kids on the mountain, and just had moments where I thought this is what I'm supposed to be doing with my life. I'm supposed to be using sport and activity to help transfer life skills to youth. And so that's how I got involved. And they hired me on at the Vail office, and then I took the program to Portland, Oregon, and popped up Oregon chapter for fun the year after that. So that's how I got involved.
It's great to hear that you've been involved with us for over, I think, 23 years. And
You're like my Hotel California. I can't get away from you guys.
No, you can't. So the first question I have for you is, how did you navigate high school and uncertainty of what to do after?
Sure. Yeah. I actually had a pretty tough high school career because I just didn't feel like the academics didn't make sense to me at the time. And I think the thing that got me through high school was really good mentors. I played soccer, and my soccer coaches, both of them, were just so key in sort of seeing and believing in the potential of me. And so they worked with me really hard to get through academically because it just was not an intuitive thing for me. And I just have really good social support and then really good mentors that I really credit with getting me through high school. For the back end of high school, I actually tried to get out of going to college. I applied to colleges I didn't think I would get into, so my mom would let me have a gap year, which they were not going to do. And I ended up getting into a great college, the perfect college for me, Lewis and Clark College out in Portland, Oregon. And I don't think I thought about what to do post-college or post-high school until the first week of my freshman career. It occurred to me that learning looks a lot different if high school wasn't the best fit academically. I ended up hitting college and getting straight A's almost the entire way through college. It occurred to me, I am a learner. And that was the point where I was like, and I love learning. And so within my first semester of college, I just realized, saw a new potential and got a new hunger for learning. And that hunger for learning is something I thought that I really credit my career to, because I ended up getting super interested in things that actually led me to my youth development career, like psychology. I was an East Asian studies major because I was a little obsessed with Chinese, which doesn't relate to this, but that Chinese professor was a great teacher. So I think the thing that got me through both college and really embedded me, or both high school and embedded me in college, was having the ability to connect with mentors and be open to suggestions and learning. And that's what I credit.
I was also an East Asian studies minor. I was trying to be a minor for the longest time. With the amount of time that I spent in East Asia, I should have gotten that, but
you
don't have that much.
You did much better. I was majoring, and then instead of going to China, I went to Mexico for my semester abroad and ended up in Mexico speaking no Spanish and only speaking Chinese. So my host family, just, God, they were so patient. They would push like a taquito across the table and be like, egg roll. And because they were just trying. So that's when I was like, I should probably double major in psychology, because I don't know why I did that, but I did it. Anyway, here we are, right?
Yep, here we are. The next question I have is, what tools in life do you use every day to ensure success?
I think this the ability to engage with people authentically is, I think it's really strange. I've gotten to be, I'm 45 now, and I think in the last 5 years, it's occurred to me that if you show up authentically and bring your full self into conversations and do it in a way that's positive, that people will follow positive more than they'll follow cynicism, which is great. I can be both of those things, but I try to err on the side of possibility. And then I lead a team now, and I'm really good at giving people the space to shine. And before I was an official leader, I did that with my peers. And so I was constantly on teams that did well, because instead of competing with people, I'm pretty good at seeing what everybody's strength is and then building that into work we do. So it's, I tell everybody I have an awesome team, and I just block and tackle for them. Like, they have awesome skills and talents, and in most situations you find people with really awesome skills and talents, and people are diverse, right? And so it's really easy to get teams that are really good. So I would say showing up authentically and providing spaces where other people can do that too has been a key to my success. And then I had an awesome mentor named Margot Day, and she was the VP of Education at Microsoft, but she got assigned to this Boys and Girls Club I was running. And I basically got a Goliath of a mentor, and I had no idea what I had, but she's amazing. And the first thing she told me, she came into my club and she said, "Hey, Meg, what's the strategic plan?" And I said, "Oh, I have this great idea. We're going to do Sim City with the club. I'm going to get rid of all the programming. I'm going to let the kids run the club like a city." And that scared my staff, because they thought that was going to be chaos, but it went really well. And she said, "Meg, that sounds great. It's super exciting." And she said, "Where is it in writing?" And the first thing she made me do was put that plan in writing. And our motto became, the person with the plan wins. But more importantly, if you're working in like youth development or nonprofit, the person with the plan changes lives. And I think I learned that through her. So both the authenticity and having the discipline to put the plan down and then follow that plan was key to getting me where I got.
Currently with the alumni campaign that we're starting, that's exactly what we're doing. We have a plan down and we're moving in action. Looking forward to what's going to happen next, because we've already seen the lives that are being changed just from our programs that we are running. So the lives that we could further affect and change for the better going forward. It's just such an exciting campaign.
I love that.
We're
no
so
doubt you guys are going to succeed. That's awesome. I love that.
Thank you. And then the next question I have is, how did you navigate your career after college?
Sure. Some of it is the right social connections that, I do think it's this positivity thing, like that I'm pretty well known for walking in a room and people can, I really see the world this way, but I think I emanate possibility and positivity. And so that has afforded me really awesome relationships that have opened up doors for me to have opportunities. So when I first got out of college, I was working in Nike's community affairs, and we were giving away a ton of money, right? And And then I thought, we're giving away all this money, but I don't know that I know, how do we know we're getting the return on investment? And so I was having fun at Nike out of this great golden career. It was great. I could have just stayed in that thing and read it. But I wasn't sure we were doing the right thing with the money. So I went to grad school at that point, and I went to Michigan to get a master's in social work because Michigan was known for qualitative and quantitative approaches to working with communities. And that just opened up, like, realizing that I needed both sort of this positivity, but the thing that would make me really awesome was this quantitative ability and the ability to use data to tell stories of change. That set me up for everything after. And then I really got in the trenches and did, like, I went to the places where I could do the most extreme social work possible. So I went to Detroit, and I did gang intervention work, Latino gang intervention work, and that was amazing. And I think the thing that made me successful there is that I went in with humility, right? And that humility is playing out now in kind of the next question that I think you're going to ask me. So I'll speak to that then. And then I did homeless youth work and really got in the trenches. And I went to the most extreme situations that I could find where communities were not advantaged, so that I could really see how things worked and how people lived and what they needed to survive and what these kind of core things would be. So just I think making that decision to go to grad school and say, I'm going to get a little more rigorous about this thing that I could kind of float through and do well, but just putting a little more of the rigor behind it.
And then the final question I have for you is, as the National Director of Youth Development and Quality Control at Boys and Girls Club of America, what personal approaches have you applied as you lead the conversation about tackling diversity, equity, and inclusion in the industry?
Okay, so this is one of these situations where I've just been very fortunate to get in these situations where all of a sudden I have really smart friends. So, I've been doing a ton of thinking in this space and work, because if we're really working with kids and families, and our mission statement is like, who need us most? And for me, I am non-apologetic about how I answer that. You will get people who answer that and they're a little more broad, and I'm well known for being very targeted in my approach to that. I spent the last 4 years working in California with the California Department of Education and really cool, innovative, deep community organizations who taught me two really key principles. One is proximity when we're talking about diversity and equity and everything in the DEI space, right? Proximity. And the notion of that is the people who are closest to the problem you're trying to solve have to make the decision. So, for example, in a nonprofit, it is common to collect a lot of data about that frontline staff. But how many times are that frontline staff, who often look more like the population you're trying to help, how often do they get to make the decisions about the strategic plan? Very few times they get to do that. So proximity is important. I spent the last 4 years doing some quality work where we made a rule that our slogan that I stole from California was nothing about us without us. So if the data was about you, you were at the decision-making table. That brought entire new voices to solving problems, right? So it wasn't this like typed down white savior, that stuff. It was like, yes, power. And that took youth voice and elevated it. So youth became builders of strategic plans. Super awesome. The other thing is this notion of designing from the margins. So it's real common, no matter what you're designing, to design straight down the middle, right? And people do that because they think they're going to catch the market share on each side. What you end up with when you do that is a really mediocre product that doesn't solve very many problems. So when you design from the margins, You take the groups that are least likely to, are like, they're going to have the hardest time succeeding, and you start designing from there with them at the table, right? Nothing about us without us. And you do that. Why? You do it because those groups, because they've had to survive a certain way and they have been working against systems not built for them, have gotten really innovative and super strong. And they often have these really cool solutions nobody ever would think about. So you start designing from that, and you can catch everybody on the way in. And so far, we've been playing with this lately at Boys and Girls Clubs. And it totally made sense, because the group for us that is our smallest business unit is our native clubs. We have clubs on so many native reservations across the country, and they always win the innovation awards. Well, it's because they're totally thinking outside of the box, and they're super scrappy and super innovative. So now we're trying to pull their strategies across for our big clubs in big cities that are well resourced, and we're seeing some really cool things. So I say proximity and designing from the margins are the two things that I use most frequently in the diversity, equity, inclusion space.
And that's all I have for you
That's
today.
awesome.
Thank you so much for your responses. Thank you so much for taking the time out and being here with us today.
Hey, thanks for leading the alumni charge. That's an awesome project.
Thank you.